Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Prime Business. I am Pius Kujubaka. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has called for a development of a practical framework to support orderly banks listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. He says the move is critical to deepening transparency, strengthening capitalization, and promoting investor confidence in the banking sector. There is more in this report.
The steering committee is expected to provide strategic direction and policy oversight for the project, ensuring strong coordination among key regulators, including the Bank of Ghana, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Ghana Stock Exchange. According to Dr. Isiama, developing a structured listing framework is critical to building investor confidence and supporting the long-term resilience of the financial sector.
Your task, colleagues, over the coming months is to deliver a framework that is practical, a framework that is credible, and a framework that is grounded in Ghana's realities. One that supports orderly bank listings, strengthens governance, mobilizes long-term capital, and preserves confidence in the financial system. I want to encourage you, colleagues, to approach this assignment, therefore, with rigor, with openness, and with a strong sense of public responsibility. The secretariat that we have established will support you fully, and management of Bank of Ghana will remain closely engaged as the work progresses.
The technical committee will focus on the operational details by designing the listing framework, drafting guidelines, and addressing regulatory and market requirements for banks seeking to go public.
We will work and take input from, say, the Banking Supervision Department that often gives no objections for banks to come to market, and ensure that their framework is aligned to the final SEC, who does the public issuance as well. We'll work with the market infrastructure. CSE has a brilliant system in the market that supports even primary issuances of corporates.
The Bank of Ghana believes the commercial bank listing project will not only strengthen balance sheet within the industry, but also deepen Ghana's capital market by creating new investment opportunities for the public.
Some players in the aviation industry have bemoaned high charges and taxes on operations of airlines and airfares. According to them, the high charges hamper demand and restrict competition compared to counterparts in other parts of Africa. This follows concern over the passage of the Airport Infrastructure Bill by Parliament, which mandates $100 air transport infrastructure development on airfares for flights outside of Africa and 100 cedis domestic flights.
The move has drawn sharp criticism from players in the aviation industry. Stakeholders maintain that instead of stimulating growth, the levy risks pricing Ghana out of the regional aviation market at a time when Africa is pushing for cheaper connected skies. Stella Marie Ndonge is chairperson of the Board of Airline Representatives Ghana, and she spoke at the 5th Aviation Ghana breakfast meeting.
We are deeply concerned by the upcoming AIDC charge of $100 on return tickets scheduled for 1st of April 2026, bearing in mind that more than 70% of our traffic is both in and outbound. These new fees will bring the total international departure charges to $173 for one-way tickets and $243 for return, catapulting Ghana to top 10 most expensive countries globally for passenger charges.
Responding to these concerns, Managing Director of the Ghana Airport Company, Yvonne Efriye Opare, argued that the fee is aimed at infrastructure development at the airport.
Everything that comes beautiful comes with a cost. Can we imagine, as the Director General had referred to, that if there was no Terminal 3 and if we were only going to be comfortable in Terminal 2 and we hadn't taken the pains to actually pay for Terminal 3 to come, how would Ghana's aviation have been? So we are at a time where we necessarily have to expand, and expansion comes with cost. But at the end of it all, if we see what the cost has gone and what it has done, what it has gone to and what it has done, we will be happy for it.
Meanwhile, Frank Enin-Bonsu, president of the Ghana Association of Travel and Tour Agents, called for broader consultations ahead of major industry reforms.
Some of these taxes, I think before they come up, should engage the practitioners who are in the field, because even the airlines, we have first-hand engagement with the customers before they get to them. And looking at our numbers, we do a lot. So it's now upon us to go and explain what this tax stands for. Madam talks about experience. You can't have experience without the travelers.
The 5th Aviation Ghana Breakfast Meeting is a forum to foster policy direction and market concerns in the country's air transport sector.
Let's now go to the ports, because the Ghana Chamber of Shipping is calling for a 3-month period to allow businesses to adjust to the mandatory local cargo insurance directive set to take off February 1. And the Chamber made this known at a roundtable stakeholder engagement. More in the following report.
The Ministry of Finance has announced that all commercial cargo imports into Ghana must be insured by the insurance companies licensed in Ghana effective February 1st, 2026. Although the directive has now been formally announced, it is not new. The requirement is already provided for under Section 222 of the Insurance Act 2021, Act 1061, which mandates local insurance for imported cargo. However, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Shipping, Dr. Emmanuel Kofi Mbia, is calling for a 3-month transitional period to allow businesses to properly align with the directive and ensure a smooth implementation.
For the Insurance Commission, for Ministry of Finance, for those who want to have this implemented and to have it implemented smoothly, we would need to give ourselves some time, which I call notice to the trade. A period of 3 months within which we can enforce, because this comes with sanctions of imprisonment, sanctions of heavy fine, and this is about business. And because it is about business and you want the ease of doing business to be there for those in the industry, we must allow this period for people to compose themselves, get to appreciate, know that the contracts which they are now going to enter into, they must enter into those contracts for the importation of their goods on cost and freight basis and undertake the insurance with a local insurance company, so that if anything happens to the cargo, whether it is misdelivered, non-delivered, whether there are damages to the cargo, they can make their claim appropriately here in Ghana.
Meanwhile, chartered consultant and lawyer Larry Jage has expressed confidence in Ghana's readiness to implement the policy, stressing that Ghana has the institutional and technical capacity to successfully roll out the cargo insurance directive without disrupting trade.
All training on marine cargo insurance will use the Institute cargo clauses anyway. So there is no issue of capacity or experience about underwriting marine cargo insurance. And let me add that the insurance market has been underwriting marine cargo insurance for decades. It is not as if this is the first time that is going to happen. The only thing the National Insurance Commission, through the Ministry of Finance and the other institutions, are trying to do is to formalize the process. We know there have been issues or concerns raised by some trade bodies, but we want to assure them that this market has the capacity, it has experienced personnel to underwrite marine cargo insurance, and also it is even cheaper to buy marine cargo insurance here.
Stakeholders say effective stakeholder engagement in a smooth transition will be crucial to ensuring the cargo insurance directive strengthens the local insurance industry without disrupting trade.
Let's stay a while longer on insurance matters, because the country lead and CEO of Salam Alliance Life Insurance, Tewia Ben Ahmed, is asking government to sustain Ghana's economic positive trajectory, citing its potential to drive growth in the insurance industry. He believes sustained economic growth will boost insurance demand, particularly in health and life insurance. Speaking to Joy Business in an interview, Mr. Ben Ahmed urged government to maintain macroeconomic stability, improve infrastructure, and promote financial inclusion to support the sector's growth.
From the perspective of Sanlam Alliance, what we have been able to do in 2025, first of all, is to restart our business.
Okay.
So, you go through a merger, you integrate, and then you stabilize. So we stabilize our business in 2025, leveraging on all the positive economic turnaround of this country. Thankfully, by virtue of that massive turnaround, we come into 2026 and say, we are now optimizing. What does optimization mean? We want to go to all the 16 regions of Ghana. In 2026, we're currently at 11. We want to expand to all the 16 regions.
That's ambitious.
That's ambitious because, you see, the economy is enabling. I mean, inflation is now, I think, 3.8% in January from 5.4% in December. Our CD is the best performing currency in the whole of Africa. I mean, government has sustained payment of coupons under the domestic exchange bonds. What else can you ask for in as far as the economy is concerned to drive private business or business generally? And therefore, from where I sit right now as Terry Banamed, I am a happy Ghanaian, and our economy is making it a lot easier for us. Because look, if the economy is enabling, then business can thrive.
Certainly.
Then you can be able to have conversations about financial protection. Because if the basics are challenging to deal with, because inflation, is really very high, as we witnessed in some years back, then it enables us as a business to be able to speak to the Ghanaian breadwinner and say, let's have a conversation about the protection of your income. Because it is great that you have achieved what you have achieved, but it's important that you protect your income for the sustainability of the welfare of your family and Ghana as a whole. The economy provides enablement for business to thrive. What we achieved in 2025 is massive. Best performing currency on the African continent, sustained coupon payments under the DEP, inflation down. I mean, 13 months sustainable decline to 3.8% in January. Which one again, interest rate down, driving, if you like, some rebound activity in the bonds market.
Fuel prices coming down as well.
I mean, all I will say, or what our expectation will be, will say, if the finance minister or president is hearing me, sustain it for us. I think I am a proud Ghanaian today because of how the economy has transformed. And so sustainability is usually the question that we have to answer anytime, of course, we engage our international partners and tell them that Ghana, this is the real Ghana, And 2025 has proven the capability of the Ghanaian to manage his own affairs and to transform the fortunes of our own country. And it's amazing how we have transformed. But the next conversation, or what I will ask for, is sustainability.
Food insecurity now poses a direct threat to Ghana's development and productivity. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu has warned. As fresh figures reveal, Ghana's food insecurity rate climbed to 38.1% by the third quarter of 2025, after peaking earlier in the year, highlighting vulnerability nationwide. More in this report.
The latest quarterly insecurity report by the Ghana Statistical Service shows that national food insecurity increased from 35.5% in early 2024 to 38.1% by the third quarter of 2025.
The survey shows that between 2024 quarter 1 and 2025 quarter 3, national food insecurity prevalence rose from 35.3% to 38.1%. It peaked at 4.1% in 2025 quarter 2, before declining slightly to 38.1% in quarter 3 of 2025. This tells us something very important, that food insecurity in Ghana is volatile, and that it responds quickly to economic conditions, to seasonal patterns, as well as to price movements.
The government statistician says the implications are significant when translated into population numbers.
The number of food insecure persons increased from 11.2 million people in 2024 quarter 1 to a peak of 13.4 million people in 2025 quarter 2. By 2025 quarter 3, the number declined slightly to 12.5 million. That represents a 7.9 percentage point increase from the 2024 quarter 1 low of 11.2 million people.
Regionally, the Upper West, Northeast, Savannah, and Volta regions continue to record the highest insecurity rates.
So if at the national level, food insecurity prevalence rate is 38.1%, and you have a region like Upper West that records 55.9%, then you know it is high compared to the national average. Or Volta that records 50.1%, or Northeast that records 45.9%. These are very high. Now, if you flip the coin and you look at the region that recorded the lowest food insecurity prevalence rates, then we are talking about the OT region, whose food insecurity rate declined from 23.8% in Q1 to 18.4% in Q3 of 2025.
The Ghana Statistical Service notes that sustained and coordinated policy interventions will be critical to reversing the trend and safeguarding household welfare and long-term economic stability.
The country director of Sokodevi, a Canadian non-governmental organization committed to improving the lives of farmers through sustainable and inclusive cooperatives, has bemoaned the threat posed by illegal mining on cocoa production. Nicholas Damas observed that the cocoa sector is under threat, with limited alternative income generation activities available to farmers, especially the youth.
Galamsey continues to ravage vegetation, including farmlands and forest reserves. Assurances by successive governments to deal with the menace have failed, as scientists warn of the presence of cyanide, mercury, and other hard metals used by illegal miners for gold processing in the food stream of Ghanaians. Here is Margaret Frimpong Ayrakwa, Deputy Director at the Cocoa Health and Extension Division at Cocoa Board, who says cocoa farms are being seized for illegal mining activities. Speaking in an interview with JoyNews on the sidelines of an event to introduce cocoa seedlings to farmers, she appealed for the government's intervention.
I just got to know through discussions with some farmers that just yesterday, the miners or the Galamseyers took over a woman's farm without the permission even from the woman. Forcefully, they gone into the cocoa farm to destroy the cocoa farm. It's quite disturbing and it's worrying. Imagine this all seedlings being sold, the amount of money we spend. Sokodevi has spent, our partners, making sure that we get all these seedlings, we plant. Then the next hour, the next minute, you come back, you don't see the cocoa on the field. It's gone because of Galamsey. At the end of the day, all these things come back to us. It's not as like somebody is doing Galamsey and the impacts wouldn't be felt. It's being felt within our communities. Our livelihoods, our health issues too is really serious and it's critical. So we are just pleading with our farmers and also with the government that this fight on Galamsey should be really handled seriously as far as we are concerned. At least for our cocoa farms, they should save us.
Sokodevi, through its Together Women and Cocoa Communities initiatives, focused on empowering women and youth in cocoa-producing communities in the Ashanti and Western North regions by using plant nurseries as an alternative income generation activity for farmers. The NGO introduced new plant seedlings to cooperative farmers at Adokwai in the Adansi North district of the Ashanti region. But its country director Nicholas Demers Labrousse says the threat of illegal mining in the cocoa sector is real. He wants the government of Ghana to partner with Sokodevi to provide alternative livelihoods to the youth through nurseries, poultry and animal rearing, as well as maize, cassava and dairy processing.
We need to be frank and transparent about it. Cocoa sector is in danger with the Galamsey, with the illegal mining. We see it everywhere. If you drive to Adekwai or if you go to different parts of the Ashanti region, you'll see major forests deforested, that we don't see any trees. You see the illegal mining. So yes, definitely a threat to the cocoa business. But moreover, we see a lot of youth going to the Galamsey. But if the needs are there, but unfortunately the income is not there, we need to find some solution for the youth, for the women, for the farmers. Instead of selling the farm or burning the trees to do some illegal mining, there's some alternative. One of the alternatives is a tree nursery. Other alternative is not only to concentrate only on the cocoa industry during 4 months of the year, but to continue with other income generating activities. I'm talking about poultry, animal rearing, maize, cassava, gari processing. And Sokudedi is there to position the cooperative, the youth, the women.
The Women and Cocoa Communities Initiative is led by Sokodevi. It is aimed at strengthening the resilience of cocoa growing families through technical assistance, establishment of agroforestry systems, and innovative agricultural risk management mechanisms in the face of increased vulnerability of cocoa growing communities to economic shocks and climate change. It promotes collective savings, entrepreneurship, and financial inclusion while contributing to the long-term resilience of the cocoa sector and a fair distribution of economic benefits and opportunities. Ohim Interiors reports for JoyNews.
Thanks for watching Prime Business.